Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It is almost Saturday afternoon, definitely late, and so I've been dodging YouTube because I don't want any spoilers because I definitely want to see this one for myself. I'm excited, and they've just been doing such a great job this season. Like, there has not been an episode that's been bad. You know, nothing below the 3, which is like, you did your job. And I think all of them has been like 3.5. There were definitely some episodes last season I was just like, eh. But all of these have been great, so I expect this one's gonna be great too. And yeah, super excited. So let's just get right into it. And if you've enjoyed what you heard so far, please consider giving this video a like, comment, or subscribe. It would really help our channel grow, and I'd really appreciate it. 3, 2, 1. Play.
Dearest Lulu, I hope this letter finds you well.
Oh, Hooty, yes!
But Hooty, you are the Owl House. You take care of everyone inside you. If that isn't a worthy purpose, then what is?
Oh.
Ugh, why does that sound so wrong coming from you? You! I am done with this!
Oh, his voice was breaking.
Like the wind.
Oh my lord.
Freaking out, Hooty. Fellows is planning something big, and I'm weaker than a newborn witchling.
And if he's not happy, I'll never make my way into Amity's heart. I mean, make a portal back home. We have to go.
Oh my god.
You were right, Lulu. These 3 needed my help. So I devised the plan of plans.
I am scared for Hooty's plan.
Maybe if I figure out what kind of demon I am, I'll know what's going on. But nothing in here looks like me.
I thought he was a demonologist.
Unless...
Oh my lord, what has he done? Demon lessons.
Don't you talk about my mother!
Oh my god.
I'm gonna need a blood sample.
I graduated from medical school.
Wow, the most cartoony poke sound ever. They're doing a good job with King this season.
Left me
Ooh, yeah! I thought magic might be coming. I was like, this seems like an emotional build-up to a power reveal.
Not until I can call myself the most powerful witch on the Boiling Isles.
Can we get a
once
reference to Rain? Just saying you're worried. I don't know.
Reward?
I kind of like Eda with like
Dang, old boy.
bags under her eyes. She looks kind of cool. Not that I want her to be sleepy.
Don't let me fall asleep.
Yup! One bite will put you to sleep for hours!
Oh jeez.
The owl beast is why I never got close to anyone. And the owl
Close
beast...
to anyone, Eda?
Huh. Well, this is a development.
We're getting so much great young Eda content. I know we're not gonna get a young Eda show, but I wish. Eda's dad? Oh, what? Yes! This is so cool. This is so cool. It's much better than just a Lumity episode. I love Lumity.
I won't be home for a while.
Hey, no! No! Oh, I was just gonna feel so guilty about that.
Eda, Whoa,
Rain.
what are you doing? No, I hate this part.
I just gotta give it up for Eda's voice VA here. Like, talk about an amazing line read. Oh, my heart! Okay, back to the reaction.
I think we should see other people.
What?
Sorry, Eda. It's over.
Rain broke up with Eda? This is insane.
Are you okay? Is this the curse?
Just tell them. Let them help. It's fine. Everything's normal. You can leave now.
I can't do this anymore.
No!
Stop pushing them away.
Official moment of protest. They can't introduce a character this awesome with this connection to Eda and then take them away! Ah!
This is amazing. Oh, man.
It's over.
Ooh. The Eclipse figure. What is happening? Maybe it wants to be free too. Oh, cute little owl beast. Ooh, nice.
This is a hot look.
I agree, Eda.
Maybe you can tell me how to ask out a cotton candy-haired goddess.
Oh, Luz is so sweet.
Asking her out should be breathtaking, emotional, and real.
Oh, you are putting way too much into
Can't
this.
let Amity think the same.
Oh, no, little teen.
Amity? Oh yeah, that's silly. Why would Amity be in our... Amity!
Oh, Hooty, I love you.
Hooty brought me...
Yes, Hooty, I'm actually kind of loving this one. How did he do this?
She'll think I'm such a loser.
God, this is the worst. But also the best. Like, I'm loving it, but I imagine that Luz is dying inside.
Oh, I'm gonna be made fun of again.
Oh my God, Luz. Pay attention. Pay attention.
This was a nightmare.
Yeah, it kind of was.
Oh.
Get out of your hair.
I did it again! This home was my odious
He can stretch. What is happening?
Are you two okay?
She looks like a gargoyle. I just realized.
Is you.
I'm like a harpy woman now. And I can explode
Harpy.
things with
Okay.
my voice
But gargoyle
powers.
is definitely better.
Was trying to help me ask Amity out.
Oh, whoa. Do you wanna? Then do it. Yeah, I hear ya. I might be able to help. It won't be perfect, but...
Huh? Does it really need to be? Good luck, kid.
Thank you, Eda. Thank you for that advice. No, it does not need to be perfect. Just needs to be sincere.
Do you want to go out with me?
Thank you, Amity.
Why is this still so scary?
Dang, Hooty. You really are something.
King may not know where he came from, and Luz's new GF showed her tips and tricks to get more information from that old...
Thank you. Thank you. Should have asked Amity the whole time.
Beg your pardon.
Oh, he's showing up this soon? Yes!
You see this finds its way to King Clawthorn.
Oh my gosh, a bug!
Oh my... Ooh, Ludi!
Fail!
Okay, so I'm trying out a bit of a new format. I rewatched the episode and took notes, and then I was going to discuss it. So, first of all, I loved this episode. I think it may be the best of the season so far. It's my personal favorite, and I'm gonna go over why. So yeah, let's just get right into the breakdown. First off, I love that we start off with Hooty writing Lilith and how stylized it is when, you know, he uses words like wenced. And I also love that that Lilith is a good friend to Hooty, that she's giving him really good advice, and it shows that they actually did form a bond and that they care about each other. And I thought that was just very sweet, and I'm glad that we got confirmation that Hootzifer and Lulu are still besties. All right, so next, I loved the follow-up from the last episode from Eda's Requiem of Eda now being worried about the Emperor's plot and is like on top of it and is focused on trying to stop the Emperor and follow up with what Rain was trying to do. I was a little worried we weren't gonna get a Rain follow-up. You heard that in the reaction because Eda didn't mention Rain when they were talking about that, but then of course we did get a follow-up, so I thought that was great. But I like that now we have like, Eda is focused on the Emperor, King is focused on his past, and Luz is focused on opening a portal. And clearly all three of these plot threads are gonna come together and interact with one another. So that's really cool. All right, the line that was like, oh, the Echo Mouse is scared, then I won't get into Amity's heart. I thought that was a little bit of an awkward segue. Like, what does the Echo Mouse have to do with getting into Amity's heart? Like, is she thinking, is Luz thinking that like, I need to show that I'm good with this Echo Mouse in order to impress Amity. So I thought that was a little bit of an awkward segue, but I like that it hinted that Luz is having split priorities, and then of course Hooty actually phrases it that way, saying like Luz was split between wanting to pursue this relationship with Amity and wanting to get home. And you know, just we all know, it's obvious on the face of it that Luz is going to have a decision to make at some point. I mean, I honestly don't think she will have a decision to make. I think the worlds are going to be permanently fused together. That just seems the obvious end of this plot. But even though, like, taking a step back, I think that's how the story is going to end. I think from within the story, obviously, Luz's choices are, do I go home or do I stay in the Boiling Isles? And with everything that's in the Boiling Isles, magic and her relationships to Eda and King and Hooty and yes, Amity. And then on the other side is going to be her mom and going home. And so we all know what's coming. We know that she is going to be faced with a choice at some point, that she was already faced with one at the end of season 1 and chose, you know, what she chose, the Boiling Isles, though not choosing her mom, but just trying to protect everyone. And she's going to have to face that choice again. And I like that this is just establishing that in a not super dramatic way right now, but it's not letting you forget about it. All right, so then we get into King's plot. A word on this plot structure, I think it was really clever. It's so simple, right? So a lot of times when we're breaking down plot structure, the most common plot structure is the 3-act structure, which is a nonsense name because it has 4 parts, and I don't know why everyone keeps calling it 3-act structure when it's like Act 1, Act 2A, Act 2B, Act 3. And I'm like, that's just 4 acts. That's just 4 acts. Why do we call it 3-act structure? But this isn't a 3-act structure plot. This was a much simpler plot structure where it's just 3 escalations, right? So you introduce the character's problem, you have them try something 3 times and seemingly fail 3 times, and then you hit a climax point where they have to change or do something different or someone helps them out. It's super simple, and so that's what they did here with Hooty. They have 3 characters. I set out really simply at the beginning that Hooty wants to help all of them, and then you just go through with him trying to help each of them, and of course he feels like he fails each time, and then he hits a crisis point where he's like, I failed, what am I gonna do? But obviously he doesn't fail each time. And so it's a super simple outline, and then within that you can put other plots where we got to go into each of these characters doing their own little mini stories. It's almost like an A plot, B plot, C plot story, but unlike the ones that I don't like, where like the A plot and the B plot are completely divorced from each other, this was all given a really cool framing device so they all feel like they're related, even though they're kinda not. And then we just get to go into each of these characters who we already know and already love and have connections to. Just so clever, I love it. So we get into the first one with King. One of the things I really liked about this one is that I really like the world building, that the other witches that we see that don't look like the Eda type witches are biped demon witches. I like how they're just like, let's figure out some answers to the lore. I really don't think that all of these things were thought of beforehand. Maybe some of them, but I don't think all of them. Like the idea of where Eda's gem comes from and stuff like that. I think they just sat down at one point and were like, let's just figure out what the answers to these are. And then they've just been finding ways to throw it in there throughout the season. I think I really appreciate that, and I think it's cool. I think it was also really sweet that Hooty wanted to support King and was just like, you are you, and we don't need to know who you are to be your friend. Like, I love that. And I also just liked how deeply this is affecting King, and then we got to see, like, I like that King is not just a comedy support character this season, that he's been given an arc and he's been given some depth and he's been allowed to feel deeply and honestly upset about something in a way that lasts for longer than an episode. I will say, like, of the 3 main casts, he's still the weakest for me, including this plot, and I'll explain why a little bit later once we go through all of them. But that said, I do still like what they're doing with him. And so I like that we got to see him get upset about this and like see how much it's affecting him. And then we go into Eda's plot. I really liked Eda's plot. I loved it. So again, this is kind of like plots within plots. So you have Hooty's as a framework, and then you have Eda's where, you know, she doesn't want to deal with the owl beast, and by the end of her like this mini character arc that she goes through, she has learned to have a more equitable relationship with the owl beast. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit because of the analogy of long-term illness and disability that this is like her relationship to the curse has often been. So we're going to put that aside for a moment. But what I also liked was within that, we also got to see these two relationships. We got a little bit more on her relationship with Rain, and we got introduced to her relationship with her father. Now, a lot of times in action adventure stories, we have romance plot lines. There's like an entire community that has come to hate romance plot lines in action adventure stories and are just like, why do they have to be there? Which I think is the wrong question because they're always there. And I think the question is, why are they so bad? Like, why can't these be done better? If a romance subplot is like almost always a part of an action adventure story, then why are they always so bad? And like one of the reasons that they're so bad is because for a long time, it's been like a very heteronormative, boy-centered plot in which the woman love interest was just a prize that he got to win for doing the things. And we're starting to try to expand on that and actually make these good relationships, but I don't think we have a lot of good tools yet. But one of the ways to make romance subplots work is actually to make them their own character arcs. So just like a character can face a character arc like some sort of flaw in them that is causing problems in their life and causing them to face adversity and struggles, if you're going to have a romance subplot, you should also have a character flaw that the character has that is causing them problems in their relationship, right? And it should be related to whatever their overarching problem is so that it doesn't feel completely divorced from the plot. But if you do that, it gives your characters a way to grow within the relationship, and by growing within the relationship, not only is like that character arc inherently satisfying on its own, like we like to see characters grow, but it also helps support their growth overall to help them be, you know, the hero if they're the hero of the story or whatever it is. So I really liked that with Eda's relationship with Rain and her father, we got to see flaws that she has. The one with Rain was a little bit more obvious, you know, the fact that she doesn't want to let them in and she doesn't want to rely on them and to share the burden of the curse. And so we got to see that, and we got to kind of see it in the context of a ghost moment where, you know, Rain is saying, I wish you wouldn't hide things from me. And Eda is just like, everything's fine, you know, and Rain says, well, we have to see other people, like we have to break it off. And like that's the moment of pain, and you see how her flaw is affecting her, and now we know how she has to grow in order to be able to grow within that relationship with Rain, and also to grow as a person that would make her a better person and a hero in the story. And yeah, I thought that was just really excellently and efficiently done. It's taking me longer to explain how it worked than to see it on screen, right? Like, it was great. And love the follow-up with Rain. And then you have the introduction of her father, which was really interesting, and the fact that she, you know, hurt him, and we don't know how he feels about it, but it seemed from the way that Eda says, like, I won't let you ruin this again, that she feels really guilty about it, that she's blaming the curse, like this is your fault. And that shows like how she has to grow, of like not seeing the curse as something that she has to fight, but something that she has to live with, and that she can't just keep blaming it and being angry at it. And so, you know, we didn't get as much as we did with Rain, like we don't understand the relationship that she has with her father, but it does make me intrigued to meet that father and see how did he interpret that, right? Does she have a good relationship? Does she feel guilty about what happens? Like, I would like to know more, and so it really set up intrigue for that character, and I thought that was really, really cool. So yeah, the relationship with Rain is so heartbreakingly sweet. I cannot wait to see these two get together and overcome their issues, specifically right now, issues on Eda's end of being vulnerable and letting someone help, and I'm interested to see her dad. So yeah, and also just as a quick note, introducing romance arcs or dynamic arcs, or like relationship arcs anyway, is a great way to get an audience invested in a new character really quickly, right? Because you don't have to build them up independently. You can just say this is who they are to a character that you already care about, and then we'll have a relationship to them already. I think that's what didn't hit quite for me about Hunter. Like, I thought his introduction was super strong and well crafted, but I just didn't have an entry point for caring about him yet. So I'm looking forward to caring about him more, but I definitely thought that Rain's introduction was more effective for me because they were introduced within the context of relationship with Eda. And so basically it's like, geez, I don't know anything about cars. What happened? Jumpstart? It's like jumpstarting an audience engagement, right? Because Eda cares and we care about Eda, so we'll care about Rain. So yeah, I thought that was great. All right, who is the Eclipse figure in Eda's backstory? And is she going to have to do anything with Amity? That's a fan theory, right? Because of Amity's new necklace. And I feel like the character almost sounded like Amity, but Amity wasn't around when Eda was younger. So I don't know, I don't have any answers. I don't have any theories. I'm not really a theorist, but just saying, definitely intrigued and want to know more about that figure. So yeah, let's talk about Eda's curse. I thought it was a little weird to personify Eda's curse the way it is. I mean, okay, by its own rules within the world, cool. The curse is like there's an owl beast and she can have a relationship with it. As an analogy, however, for like a disability or an illness, that obviously doesn't quite map. And because that analogy I'm pretty sure has been intentional by the creators and has definitely been interpreted that way by the fandom and has been pretty strong, it was weird to kind of introduce this element to it, this element of like the curse being personified, that isn't as true about having a mental illness or about having a disability. Now, like the closest thing I could think of is like, I'm, a trans man, and I know that back when I faced stronger issues of body dysphoria, but back when I was a baby trans, I would definitely kind of have a relationship like that with body parts that I didn't feel were mine, kind of like get to the same resolution that Eda gets to of like, I hate it, but it's not your fault body part, you're just existing here, we're just here and have to deal with it and continuing to hate this like part of my body is not super gonna help me, so I'm just gonna deal with it, and I don't wanna keep carrying around that feeling of hate and resentment because that's impacting my life. So that's kind of close, but like, I don't think this was meant to be dysphoria, right? So it's just weird it's weird that the curse is personified, I guess. I think it muddies the analogy, and I am all for analogies. Like some people will be like, oh, let it stand on its own, it doesn't have to be an analogy, but like I think the analogy was strong and helped a lot of people connect with Eda and see a part of their life that they don't often see represented in media, represented in this show. And so, yeah, I thought it was a little weird to introduce this personification and Eda saying like, I know you don't want to be here and I don't want to be here, but we're stuck together. But yeah, I think it missed the mark a little bit for me, but I do like that Eda's resolution was like, I have to learn to live with this part of myself. And I can't keep putting all this energy into hating it, into fighting it, because that's not serving me. And then of course she wakes up and we have her harpy design. So I love the harpy design. It's definitely based on gargoyles. No one can tell me differently. Just look at those feet, then look at Demona and don't tell me nothing, right? Can we please get a reboot of the gargoyles? Please, thank you, Disney, thank you. That said, I was like, the more I liked it in the moment, and then the more I thought about it, I was like a little hesitant because it's kind of going down that your disability is actually your superpower route, which is not great. So I don't know, I don't have like a definite condemnation or judgment of it right now. I'm just saying it's making me a little nervous, this idea of like your disability is actually your superpower and you get this super cool harpy form now. Also, it makes me wonder, is this like Eda's form now? Like, do we get like 2 episodes after getting new titles, do we now have yet another new character design? Or is this just like a form that she goes into sometimes? I don't know, I guess we'll see. But that was definitely left open and we're not sure. All right, so getting into the third plot, we got Luz's plot. Just a quick note, I love that Hooty was like, I must be attuned to people's feelings. And attuned just means he's listening. He was just there listening. Yeah, but I really love Luz's problem, like the obstacle that was set up for her in this plot, her feeling like, oh, I have to I can't ask Amity out until I figure out a way to do it perfectly. I thought that was really, really relatable, especially because of where it's coming from Luz, like that motivation behind it of, I was ostracized at home, I was considered weird at home, and I don't want Amity to see me that way. I think it's just really fascinating. Here's some more trans theory. That idea of like you get to go to a new place and be a new person, and you don't want people to connect the person you are now and have been and that you've grown into with the person that you were before, that maybe your family saw you as, that wasn't as great. Now, obviously Luz isn't trans and this isn't like a trans story, but I'm just saying like it's definitely a trans theme that I really like, that a lot of other people deal with too, but I think just gets heightened for trans people. But I just like this reminder that Luz felt ostracized at home and that she didn't completely fit there. So even though she's trying so hard to get back, I like that the writers aren't forgetting to remind us that she was ostracized, and it felt so honest to her to like worry, not just in a normal, like just at the normal average, you like someone, you want them to think you're cool, but like people at home didn't get me. They didn't think I was cool. And it's such a delicious ghost. I love ghosts, if you can tell from my channel, because they're just they're the part of a character that makes you go, oh, like it's like you may like characters for their virtues, but you love them for their flaws, and particularly for the ghosts and the wounds that motivate those flaws, right? Like, you may like that Zuko is, hot-headed and brave and disciplined, but you really love him when you understand where he's coming from, the pain that he's going through, and what he has to face to be the person that he is. And that's the same thing with Luz. Like, I really love Luz. I think she's a wonderful young hero. I love how compassionate she is. I love how brave she is. I love how quick-witted and smart she is, but still deals with stuff. I love how awkward she is. And more than that, in this moment, I love the reminder of where she's coming from, and that she did feel awkward and like she didn't fit at home, and now she's really finding a place where she does, but that fear still comes up a little bit. So it was a quick thing. Again, this is one of those things that I've talked about more took me longer to talk about than to establish it in the show, but I just really liked that's where her fear is coming from. And then it also makes sense for her age, that this may be the first person she's asking out, and all she has as a reference are stories, which are usually, we're getting some better stories now, thank you, the Owl House, but usually, they're super hyped up and super dramatic, and it's like you have to do the over-the-top romantic gesture in order to win the approval of the person that you crush on. And so I think that's super believable for her to think that. Yeah, so I really, again, Chef's Kiss, this was beautiful. This is a beautiful setup. I liked how it was played out. Yeah, I just like how it was played out, and how we went through this whole plot. We're going through the love tunnel or tunnel of love or whatever. Love tunnels. I think that's something different. The tunnel of love, and Luz is just hide all of this so that she doesn't think, that Amity doesn't think I'm a dork, and Amity's interpreting that as, oh, she doesn't like me. Ugh. It was great. It can't, that sort of, drama coming from a misunderstanding can be really misused. It can be, mostly it's really overused. And, if their problem can be solved by them just sitting down and having a conversation, it's not a great problem. Yes, miscommunication happens in real life, but the point to which that's mined in stories in general, and in romance stories specifically, is so annoying. So it could have gone wrong, but I think they did just enough of it that it was fine, and then it didn't overstay its welcome. It was resolved at the end. They did talk, they did ask each other out, and I thought that was super cute. I also just want to give props to the voice actors. There were some really great line reads in there. I think when Luz said, Hooty's been acting weird all day, I love that line read. And then when Amity's actress was like, yeah, this was stupid, great, just the acting was amazing, and never I never want to underestimate how much actors can like bring these lines to life, no matter how well you write them. If an actor's not, you know, giving them some variety and some different tones, like it can just fall flat, and they did a really great job. And so, yeah. All right. And then how like Luz's plot was resolved. First off, nods to Eda. I mean, I think the fandom and me, I'll say as the fandom, like wanted a little bit more of a reaction from Eda. Like we were like, is she gonna be super supportive, like #1 fan? It was super understated, but I like that she was just like, oh, okay, I'll help you out. Like, yeah, it was cool. And it didn't pull focus from Luz and Amity in that moment. Though I hope we do get a little bit of follow-up and find out a little bit more about like just get to see supportive cheerleading Eda, or maybe like even teasing Luz Eda, or like, yeah, I would just love to get some Eda flavoring in here. Anyway, I really like that Amity is always making the first moves in this ship. Like, she was the first person to start crushing. She was like thinking about asking Luz to dance. Now, granted, Luz is the one that ended up asking her, but you know, Amity kind of set up that situation, went in to save her. Like, I don't know, I feel like Amity is always the first person to move the relationship forward, and here when she was like, do you want to go out with me? I really liked that. I really like, in general, how queer characters can mess with romantic roles and romantic scripts. I think everyone struggles with romantic roles, especially like we live in a heteronormative world, right? We're trying to break that down, but just like we live in a racist world and a patriarchal world, like those structures shape our social reality. And so even if you're not straight yourself, you still have to deal with the expectations, and straight people also have to deal with the expectations, and they don't help them either, right? So I just like that queer characters help make room for everyone and help us break free of those confining roles. Like, women in feminist theory has a fairly well-developed vocabulary for describing how confining the expectations to be submissive or demure or giving, etc. Can be for women. But we're not really great yet at describing how confining expectations to be the provider or the protector who can only access love transactionally. Like, I give you this, so then you give me love, right? I give you protection, so then you give me love. Or I provide you house, so then you give me love. Like, having that as a framework for how to access something that every human being needs, which is love and support, how confining that can be for men. And so we're still trying to develop the language to talk about that. I'm gonna link a video below because Feek the Signifier just did one talking about it, and it was really interesting. But I will just say, like, from personal experience, as a trans man who suddenly had to deal with that script, like, you know, I came of age in the lesbian community and like had those romantic scripts in my head, and then suddenly I was now seen as a man with women, and just like that expectation that I played this role that I didn't like I was like, I'm very aware of how confining that role can be. I hate it, and I know a lot of other men, both cis and trans, also hate that role. And so I like that queer relationships help to break down some of these scripts in general. And especially, yeah, I just like how that happens. So one of the reasons I like that Amity asked her first is that Luz has kind of been coded in the stereotypical masculine role. Like, she's more often played the masculine role. Now, that doesn't mean that Luz is masculine. It's a role. What I'm saying is, like, this is the role that heteronormativity expect men to play in romantic relationships, and Luz has more often, you know, met those expectations. You know, she has been the protector, she's been the savior, she's, you know, picked Amity up when Amity was hurt. She kind of had the cool, I don't even know you have a crush on me thing going on when she asked Amity to dance, and for the rest of the episodes that she did ask Amity to dance, right? That she has the expectation of herself that she'd be the one to ask Amity out. So she more often than Amity checks those boxes for the masculine role, but I like that not always, right? That even in the dance they mixed up who was the one who was leading, and that this season Amity has gotten to play some of those roles as well, that she's gotten to be the savior, and now she got to be the one to ask Luz first. And so, yeah, I just really like that role fuckery. I wish that they had kind of stuck to it a little bit more. I don't know why Luz couldn't just say like, yes, I would love to, instead of Amity being like, oh no, you can still ask, and then Luz asking and Amity saying yes, like that kind of puts them back into those roles. And for my own sake, I would love to see role fuckery a little bit more, but in general, I really liked it. I also really like how Luz and Eda found resolutions in their plots. Often, like in a character arc, a character needs some, like the reason that they're struggling and the reason that they have a mistake is because they haven't learned a lesson, right? And so you have to learn it from somewhere. And so characters can maybe be given the knowledge that they need to make a change, or they can discover it on their own. And I really liked that Eda discovered the knowledge that she needed on her own, but that Luz got the advice that she needed from Eda. I think it really supports their relationship with Eda kind of in that parent role, and that she's able to help guide Luz and tell Luz like, it doesn't have to be perfect. And then also that she's able to discover these things for herself and be like, I have to have a different relationship with the Owl Beast. So yeah, I just really love Eda. Arguably my favorite character, but not that I don't love Luz. I think it's like Eda and Luz vie for favorite character for me. To loop back around to something I was saying, like with King's plot, I think this is why King's was the weakest, in that he had a really strong character conflict, right? He's like, I want to know who I am, and I'm stressing out about it. Like clearly it's really impacting him. But that conflict didn't get resolved. Unlike with Eda and Luz, King didn't change or learn anything, right? He didn't learn that he needs to be more patient with himself, or that it's okay because he has people around him who love him, and so it's okay to take his time with learning these answers or anything like that. Like he literally just got a new power, which moved his plot forward in the sense that he learned more about his past, but it really just kind of opened up more questions about his past, and it didn't affect his character at all. Like his character didn't change. So that's why I think that his plot in this episode was the weakest, but I still really enjoyed his characterization. I enjoyed his part of the plot. I enjoyed his interactions with Hooty, and yeah, I enjoyed how that we got to see King being vulnerable and deeply feeling something. So it's not bad. I just think it was the weakest for that reason. So yeah, which, talking about King, that final stinger where, the horn dude shows up and then Hooty eats the letter. All right, so with that horn dude showing up, I'm now even more certain that this is not King's dad, but like an advisor or something. He just did not exude, oh man, I've just found my long lost son. It was more like, oh, interesting. Please give this to King Clawthorn. King Clawthorn, shout out to the changed name. So yeah, I don't think he's King's dad. Also, about Hooty eating the letter, we know that he can spit things up whenever he wants, like he did with the Echo Mouse, like he's done with other things like Luz's books. So, the letter is there. And it was just really a convenient way to put the plot on pause and to be able to pick it up again whenever they want to. So it's like similar to how they had the Echo Mouse withhold info because they just weren't ready to keep moving forward with that plot, and they can just like make an excuse of like, oh, the Echo Mouse hasn't said anything today, so we can't move forward. But then when they're ready to, they can just have the Echo Mouse say stuff, or have Amity get the Echo Mouse to say stuff. Thank you, finally turning to Amity, the one who got the Echo Mouse to work in the first place. But yeah, I think these like plot pause devices are really obvious, but I don't mind because each episode is great. Like, if they use these plot pause devices and then didn't do anything interesting in the episode, then I would just feel like they were wasting my time. Like, okay, I see that you're pausing the plot that we were following and you're not giving me anything else, so why are we pausing the plot? But every episode has been super interesting and engaging, so I don't mind that some plots are put on pause and put on the back burner for the moment because I know they'll come back and I'm engaged with what's happening in the moment. So I'm just thinking, like, that's a really great craft tool. Yes, it's very cool. Because they did put it on pause, like in such an obvious way, such a clear way, I expect that we won't hear about this King plot for a few episodes, probably not before the mid-season finale. When they want, Hooty will just conveniently throw off the letter, right? But because we are so close to the mid-season finale, I'm guessing that they're not gonna bring it back up right now. That's the reason that they put it on pause. Like, if they were planning on bringing it up the next episode or the episode after that, why put it on pause? But I don't know, I've never underestimate how quickly the Owl House will move. So, maybe the next episode has to be focused on something else, which is why they put it on pause, but they plan on bringing it up in episode 10. I guess we'll see, but yeah. So, that was a lot. I think that was a lot. This format is better definitely for discussing things, and also there was just a lot to discuss in this episode. It's such a good episode, but I'm also a little worried that this video is going to be forever long. But yeah, it was really great. Rating, I almost want to say a 5 out of 5. King's plot is pulling it down just a little, but even that was excellent. It's almost like I wouldn't even say like a 4.5 out of 5, like a 4.75. I don't know, like it's high up there. I think this is the best episode of the season. Just, it had everything. It had not just one well-structured plot, but 4, arguably 6 well-structured plots if you count each of the ones for the characters, and then if you go into the relationship arcs that were explored in Eda's section. So excellent on like plot, excellent on character. I was engaged with all of these characters. I was engaged with the things that they were dealing with, and it made me feel things, and it made me laugh, and it made me for the characters. This was just an amazing episode, and I could probably keep talking about it, but I shouldn't because I don't think YouTube is meant for videos this long, but amazing. So yeah, can't wait to see what's happening next week, and I'll see you all then. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed this reaction and breakdown, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Please give the video a like, comment, share with your friends, help my channel grow. I would love to do more of these and just share my thoughts on more stories with you. So I'll see you in the next one. Peace.